Today we have a dual purpose. We are giving tours and demonstrations here in 1908 J.T. Wells barn, which is owned by John Hunt here of Interlaken and his wife Grace. And we also are doing a plowing demonstration out in the back field, and we'll have a yoke of oxen, we have teams of horses, we have single horse, we have antique tractors on steel and rubber, and we will have an articulating tractor to finish up with 10-bottom plows.
People to build the barn moved up from New York City. They hired J.T. Wells from Scottsville to build the barn, and they had a farm manager, and in the 50s they sold it to a local businessman, and in the 60s, after he died, my parents bought the farm from his estate. And after my parents died, we inherited the farm.
John T. Wells was from Scottsville, and in 1888 he was able to patent his truss system to build the barns. Primarily the wood for the barns was sawn from lumber on the farms, and it was cured, and they began building. This particular barn has probably one of the first poured concrete foundations in this area. This was built in 1908 to 1909. They built the base of the barn to the first floor, and they actually constructed the trusses on the floor and laid them out, and then they were pulled up into place with a steam engine or horses.
What my talk was all about is to explain that you had static attitudes and therefore static technology for hundreds, even thousands of years. And then suddenly, in the American case, a few drip drops of inventions come between 1783 and 1815. And then after 1815, staying with this water from the sky idea, you had a cloudburst of inventions followed by a downpour. Because once hundreds upon hundreds of people out there, producers in the field, start to ask, is there a better way, then the inventions fairly pour forth, and they did. And these are some of the early examples, and are very unimpressive to modernize, but they would be enormously impressive to colonialize. They changed dramatically in a very short time period. And all the evidence, both from agriculture and other sectors, suggests it did. Then the next question is, why? And that is what my current book is about. And that is a long and complicated story that I'm still trying to unravel.
Oh boy, I'm going to be standing on that wagon over there and telling you what's happening, what kind of equipment is being used, how this fits in the total tillage process. Tillage is a word which means preparing a seed bed. It's not all done by the plow. As you saw at Professor McClellan's lecture, you follow it with a harrow, or back in the medieval period with a hoe, manual labor. So I'll be up there without this umbrella. This, by the way, is a pretty good day for actually plowing. It's not a great day for spectators. Plowing with this kind of equipment, the horses won't get overheated today. You can't use these horses continuously and plow all day. You have to stop and rest every once. How often do you rest the horses if you're really plowing?
Probably after every row.
Yeah, quite often. This was the most popular plow for, 80 years. It's called a two-bottom plow, two 14-inch points, turned over two furrows, was pulled behind a tractor, and and there's the kind of tractor that's being unloaded right over there that was used to pull this kind of plow. In fact, you can see two plows, but that's mounted on a hydraulic lift on the tractor. And these had to be pulled behind so that when you came to the end of a row, somebody had to pull this rope. You had to turn around on the tractor seat, steering with one hand. See, here I am up here on the tractor seat. Coming to the end of a row, there's a stone wall in front of me here that I don't want to run the tractor over. I have to turn around, pull this rope right here. And that mechanism in the wheel then raises the plow up so I can go around and head down the field again without running on the stone wall. There used to be stone walls at the end of many fields because the fields were much smaller than they are today. You can see this is a pretty big field. At one time, 75 years ago, this would have probably been 4 or 5 fields, what you can see here now in one field. This is a depth wheel so that the person holding the handle back there. It doesn't have to do the whole job. Some of it is done by this wheel. It sets the depth. This little mini plow here is called a jointer. And what that does is cut through any trash and sort of turn a little mini furrow and reduce the draft on the main part of the plow. This is the plow point, or share down here. This part is a mold board, which turns a slice of soil over. The idea is to invert the topsoil, which turns under the weeds and trash. So in effect, you have a pretty good seed bed if the person holding the handles is really doing a good job. Farmers watched each other, and it was well known in the neighborhood who wasn't a good plow person.
Stand outside and fill your hat up with rain. Feed the bluebirds when they come back in spring. It's an easy life. That's right. Such an easy life. Line your pockets, girl, with noodles and string. You can whistle if you don't like to sing. It's an easy life. Such an easy life. Let me tell you. It's April and it's warm outside. So open those windows wide. Fresh air makes you feel so alive. And it's really just
3020, which just passed before us. Here comes the Case 1920 model steam tractor, 50 horsepower steam tractor. It takes quite a number of people to operate that, not only the operator, but it actually uses another the wagon going alongside with water and fuel, so they have to get the fuel off. Then you have these people on the back, on the platform, that are actually adjusting the plow. In case they hit a stone, they can compensate for the stone by raising those levers, or actually pushing down on those levers. Let's see, it takes, how many people it takes to run that? You see 1, 2, 3 there. And then in the wagon along the side with the fuel and water, there's probably 2 more people.
driving south down the I'll be gone 3 days to beat the other guy. The world's no better except in my boss's eye. But now he's been good, I must admit. But on days like this, Lord, I swear I quit. But you know, the world seems so sad. If only it would stop raining, I could do this, not do it bad.
This John Deere that you see in front of us, a 3020, very popular model during the 1960s, 70s, and even 80s. got a four-bottom plow moving right along. You see, this is moving faster than the other plows. Those shares are also larger. That's probably each one is 16 inches wide. It has a feature that the other plows have not had up to now. If they hit a stone up to three bottoms, the entire plow will be picked right up by the stone. Now, the plows, this one, and the ones that you see over there in the distance, all have a release on each bottom, so that if it hits a large rock, that particular bottom will swing up. That's what those projections above the moldboard is on those plows, these two that you see right in front of you. Compensate for any slippage on the wheel, he's moving his hydraulic lever. See where his left hand is all the time? Pardon? Yeah, oh yeah. No, that's fine. Moldboards. Out in the distance there is Bob Thompson with that 200 horsepower John Deere 8020, quite new, built in 1995, a Salford plow made in Canada. And those, now we're moving up to 18-inch bottoms. Not only seven bottoms, but 18. We started with a 10-inch bottom on that one bottom horse-pulled plow. And now we've moved up to 18. 18 times 7, who can multiply that for me? You see, we're taking quite a slice of earth here now.
Such an easy life, let me tell you. It's April and it's warm outside, so open those windows wide. Fresh air makes you feel so alive. Point of view, job and stuff that we all go through. That's only yesterday's news. Right away, right on up to the sand. Share a taxi with the world's smallest man. It's an easy life. That's right. Such an easy life. Here's what I'm saying.